You know that dream of owning your own home? For a lot of people, it feels like it's getting farther and further away. But what if there was another way in? Today we're going to break down a model called rent to own. Is it a real solution to get the keys to your own place, or is it just a risky detour? Let's find out.
I mean, let's be honest. This question probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of us. The old school path, save up a massive down payment, get a mortgage, it feels less like a clear road and more like a maze you can't solve. There's this feeling everywhere that the whole dream of ownership is just slipping through our fingers.
And look, it's not just a feeling. The reality is pretty tough. We're caught in this perfect storm, right? Home prices are soaring and so are interest rates. On top of that, banks are being super strict, our paychecks aren't really growing, and with rent going up, trying to save for a down payment feels, well, pretty much impossible. It's a total catch-22.
But what if there's a different path, a way around all those roadblocks? That's exactly where the rent-to-own model comes in. You'll often see it called RTO for short. It's an idea designed to tackle the very challenges we were just talking about.
So what is it really? Well, at its heart, rent-to-own is pretty simple. It's a deal where you live in a house as a renter, but with one giant difference. You've got a formal agreement that gives you the option, or sometimes the obligation, to actually buy it down the road. You might hear it called lease to own or rent to buy. It's all basically the same big idea. Let's walk through how it usually works, step by step. First, you move in and live in the property, just like any other renter. Second, and this is the most important part, there's a written contract that says you plan to buy it. Third, and this is the real game changer, a slice of your monthly rent payment actually goes toward building your equity in the home. And finally, once you've paid the full price you both agreed on, boom, the house is officially yours.
Now, here's what makes this model so powerful. It's not just about helping the buyer. It's actually set up to be a win-win with some pretty big upsides for both the person who wants to own a home and the developer selling it.
So let's look at this from both sides. For you, the buyer, the huge perks are that you get to build equity while you're still renting, and this is massive. You lock in the purchase price today. In a market where prices keep climbing, that's huge. And for the developer, they get a buyer locked in early, the property starts making money right away, and they often get to skip all the headaches of dealing with banks.
So you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool idea for a few houses here and there, but actually, this is way bigger than you might think. Rent-to-own is already a major player in the global real estate game. So just how big are we talking?
Get this. In 2024 alone, the global rent-to-own market is worth over $100 billion. To put that into perspective, that's bigger than the entire economy of some countries. This is absolutely not some fringe idea. It's a massive financial market.
And it's not slowing down. In fact, it's projected to grow to more than $150 billion by 2033. That kind of steady growth tells you that more and more people, both buyers and sellers, are seeing this as a serious, mainstream alternative to a traditional mortgage. And if we break it down, you can see it's a worldwide thing. Europe's market is pretty substantial, but the US isn't far behind, with a market of nearly $12 billion that's also growing. It just goes to show this model works in all kinds of different economies.
Okay, so we've talked about the promise, we've seen the incredible growth, but, and this is a big but, with any deal involving this much money, you absolutely have to read the fine print. So let's shift gears and talk about the risks, because there are definitely things you need to watch out for.
Here it is, the single biggest challenge, the biggest warning sign in the entire rent-to-own world. It is largely unregulated. Think about how many rules and protections there are for mortgages. With RTO, it's kind of like the Wild West. And that lack of rules can lead to some serious problems. There are no standard contracts, which can leave buyers really vulnerable. You could sign a deal where one late payment means you lose everything, your option to buy, and all that extra money you've paid in. On top of that, these deals aren't seen as mortgages, so you don't have the same protections. And since every single deal is different, the person selling the house holds almost all the power to set the terms.
All right, so we've looked at the good, the bad, and the unregulated. After hearing all this, what's the big takeaway? Where does rent-to-own really fit into the future of housing?
Let's just boil it down to the most important points. First, despite the risks, RTO is a genuinely viable tool that's helping people deal with the housing crisis. Second, developers are really starting to embrace it because it's so flexible. And third, let's face it, as long as house prices keep going up, creative solutions like this are only going to look more and more appealing.
So all of this leaves us with one final really big question.
Is rent-to-own just a temporary fix, like a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem in the housing market? Or are we actually watching the beginning of a huge shift in how we think about buying a home altogether? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.